Kali Kukur. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari. Kali Kukur Kadam Jari Chao He Kali Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
Shrivatsa?
Yes, Maharaj.
Prikishori? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Can you give me a start? Kali Kukur Kadam Jari Chao He
Kali Kukur Jari Chao He
Kali Juga Pamana Koli Poinashana Shisha Chinandana Gao
Pavana Kali Vanasana Sachinandana Gahe
Gadadharmadan Nitaye Pranadhan Advaita Prapujita Gora
Gadadharmadan Nitaye Pranadhan Advaita Prapujita Gora
Bhakta Samachita Chora
Nimani Vishwambar Srinivasishwar Bhakta Samachita Chora
Nariya Shashadhar Maipurishwar Nam Pravartana Sura
Nariya Shashadhar Maipurishwar Nam Pravartana Sura
Jana Shikshaka Nasikula Nayaka Madhava Radha Bhava Pura
Jana Shikshaka Nasikula Nayaka Madhava Radha Bhava Pura
Sarvabhauma Shodana Gajapati Tarana Ramananda Poshana Veera
Sarvabhauma Shodhana Gajapati Tarana Ramananda Poshana Veera
Panavardhana Sanatana Palana Haridas Mohana Dhira
Rupananda Vardhana Sanatana Palana Haridas Mohana Dhira
Brajaras Pavana Dushtamata Shata Kapati Vikatana Kama
Mata Shatana Kapati Vikatana Kama Śrī-Caitanya-Caritāmṛta
Kali Kukurhara Jari Chao
Kali
Kali Juga Pavana Kali Boy Nashana Shri Sachinandana Gao He
Kali Yuga Pavana Kali Boya Nashana Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta
Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Śrī Caitanya-Nityananda Śrī Advaita Sita
Śrī Caitanya-Nityananda Śrī Advaita Sita
Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath
Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath
Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath
H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Vandan
Nichai Goshai Kori Charana Vandan
Jaha Haiti Vignanash Abhishta Puran
Ahayate Vignanash Abhishta Puran
H.I. Gosai Jarmui Tardas
Nichai Goshai Taramui Taradas
Tansabara Padarinu Mora Panchakra
Tansavara Padarinu Mora Panchaga
Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas
Sandira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas
Janame Janame Hoy Abhilash
Janame Janame Hoy Abhilash
H.I. Gosai Jabe Praje Kulabas
Nichai Goshai Jabe Raja Koilana
Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash
Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Shri Guru Vaishnava Padi Bhaja Niyama
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayama
Shri Guru Vaishnava Padi Padma Kori Ash
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Padma Koreya
Nam Sankirtan Kohe Naratamada
Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Naratamada
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
I go Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, I go Hari Bol.
Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
I go Premanande,
Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki,
Jai,
Shri Harinam Mantra Ki,
Jai,
Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki,
Jai,
Gaur Premanande,
Hari Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
We'll do the Mangalacharna 2, please. Om Jnana. Go ahead. Good. Keep the violin going. Can you give me a note there on the harmonium, Avantika? Om, Om. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum
Militam Yena Tasmai
Shri
Gurave Namaha.
Are you okay with the note?
Yeah. Let me change it.
Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Sritam Yena Bhutale
Bhutale Swayam
Rupa
Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Adadanastranam Dante Idam Yache Punah Punah Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulisyam Janma Janmani Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Shreshtam Manamaki Shachiputramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajam Urupuri Maturim Goshtabatim Radha Kundam Giriparamaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi. Hey Guru Jnanada Dina Bandho Swananda Data Karunaika Sindho Vrindavanasi Nahitavatar
Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara. Hey Dinabandho Karunaika Sindho Kuru Prasadam Mai Mandamure Raksha Paradhe Bahupapagate Tapada Padme Sumatishra Krishne Pratar Shriman Namadvipe Dvinetram Vibhujam Guru Morabhaya Pradam Shantam Smaritam Nama Purvakam Tvam Gopika Vishwarale Stanayanti Kesi Sevadhikarini Guru Nijapada Padme Dasyam Pradaya Kurumam Rajakanani Shri Radhamri Sevana Rase Sukhinim Sukabdo Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Palaprada Rajananda Pradhananda Sevayamani Yojaya Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshavana Videvi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhuve Namaha Madhuryo Jwala Prematya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktira Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigraya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhava Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Paramujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhaumistvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Masarvaswa Padamboja Radha Madana Mohana Divya Drindaranya Kalpadrunatha Srimad Ratnagar Simhasanastha Srimad Radha Shiva Govinda Lila Prashadibhi Sevyamanam Smarami Srimad Rasarasaramhi Vam Shivata Tataspita Karshande Smanir Gopir Gopinatha Shri Sunaha Etin Thakura Gauriya Ke Haryachena Atmasat Etin Niracharam Gandhon Tine Morana Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vande Nandavajastrinam Padrenam Abhikshasha Yasam Hari Katokikam Gunati Gunatrayam
Antaya Madra Abala Hari Dasa Varyo Yadrama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahagodana Yustayoyat Panya Siva Sakandana Kandamulai Vrindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradaya Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Nishika Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Prahaladesha Jai Padma 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 Bringa Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir-bhavati Bharata Abhyuktanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srajamyaham Paripranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkritam Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namasturu Mami Vaishyasi Utvayam Atmanam Parayanaha Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarvapapyo Mukshayishyami Ma Shucha Shushrusho Shradhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syanmahasya Vipra Punyatirchanishevana Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Vidyantastogya Bhadrani Titushonoti Suvritsuvam Nashkareshu Kabhareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad-yutam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Rajastamo Bhava Kamarubhadayascha Ye Chete Teranavidham Stitam Satye Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad-bhakti Yogata Bhagavad-tattva-vijnana Vasangasya Jayate Vijate Vraya Grantishchate Sarva-samshaya Shyante Chasya Karmani Vishwevatmanishvare Malayai Kaleshe Bijaropan Shravana Kirtana Jale Kaleshe Chan Tahan Nishtarita Hai Pale Prema Pal Ihan Maleshe Nitya Shranali Jal Vairagya Vidyanisha Bhakti Yoga Shikshatameka Purusham Purana Shri Krishna Caitanya Shariradhari Kripam Buddhyayasnamaham Prapadye Kalan Nashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijam Ja Kadush Kartum Krishna Caitanya Nama Avirhutastasya Padarvinde Gatham Gatham Viyatam Chiptalinga Ajanamita Vijau Kanakavadato Sankirtanayakadaro Amalaya Takshao Vishwamvaro Tvijavaro Vivadharmabhavo Vande Jagatpriyakaro Karnavataro Chaitanya Krishna Chaitanya Gauranga Vijayanayaka Yatinam Gandhinam Shaiva Nasinam Shishiromani Raktam Paradara Shriman Navadvipa Sudhakara Prema Bhakti Pradashchaiva Shri Shachinandanastata Nityananda Vajurjendur Vasudhakara Mangalava Janadi Chitapati Krishna Prema Prada Prabhu Padmavati Sutashima Shachinandana Gauraja Bhavamhanto Jagatrata Rakta Gaura Kalevara Vatsamo Nasti Papatma Naparati Chakashjana Harihare Pilajjame Kimpure Purushottama Yuvatinam Yatayuni Nunam Chayuvatau Yata Manoviramate Tadvan Manera Ramatam Tvayi Bhumal Savitapadanam Bhumidevavalambanam Tvayi Chata Paradhanam Tvamiva Sharanam Prabho Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Tvadiyam Vidhi Janatu Govindo Mam Tvayasa Radhe Vrindavani Shekaruna Vrindavanani Kripaya Nijabhadaja Dasyamaya Praditavam. Put in those nectar verses right here. Barha Pidam Natabara. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Parhahidam Natavara Papukarnikaram Vipradvasa Kanakakapisham Jayanti Chamala Rajrantinur Adara Sudaya Purayando Parindale Vrindaranyam Swapadharma Pravishankirti Tapakatamritam Tapta Jivanam Abhiviriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimaratam Bhuvigrananti Ye Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Kala Panto Jani Brajita Sarvakta Baliham Sachakra Madhupa Shreni Viharasvadam Karnanandikaladvani Vahatule Jiva Marupangane Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta Līlā Sudha Swadhini Kulom Purita Kedaya Vishadaya Shastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chitarpito Madaya Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya Śrī Caitanya-Daya Nikitavadaya There two more. Didn't we add a couple? Okay. Back to the Nityananda verse. Somewhere we added two more verses that go in that same tune. Okay. Nitai namine Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Balaram, do you know where we are?
Yes, Maharaj, we're on Ādi-līlā 3.92.
Okay. And you're just bringing now, right? Of course. Acharya Gosai, Prabhur Bhakta Avatar, Krishna Avatar Hetu, Jahar Hunkar. Advaita Acharya Goswami is an incarnation of the Lord as a devotee. His loud calling was the cause for Krishna's incarnation. Krishna Jadi Prithivite Karina Avatar. Prithivite. Krishna Jadi Prithivite Karina Avatar. Pratame Karina Guru Vargena Sanchar. Whenever Sri Krishna desires to manifest his incarnation on earth, he first creates the incarnations of his respectable predecessors. Pitta Mata Guru Adi Jata Manyagan Pratame Karina Sabhar Prithivite Janama. Thus, respectable personalities such as his father, mother, and spiritual master all take birth on earth first. Madhava Ishvara Puri Shachi Jagannath Advaita Acharya Prakat Hoile Shesat. Madhavendra Puri, Ishvara Puri, Shrimati Shachi Mata, and Srila Jagannath Mishra all appeared with Sri Advaita Acharya. Purport. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends in his human form, he sends ahead all his devotees who act as his father, teacher, and associates in many roles. Such personalities appear before the descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Before the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there appeared his devotees like Sri Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master, Sri Ishvara Puri, his mother, Srimati Shachi Devi, his father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, and Sri Advaita Acharya. Prakatya Dhaki Acharya Sakala Sangsar Krishna Bhakti Ganda Hina Vishaya Vyavahar. Advaita Acharya having appeared, he found the world devoid. Advaita Acharya having appeared, he found the world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna because people were engrossed in material affairs. Keha pape, keha pune, kare bishai bhog, bhakti gana nahi jate, jaya bhava rog. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in the transcendental service of the Lord, which can give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. Purport, Advaita Acharya saw the entire world to be engaged in activities of material piety and impiety without a trace of devotional service or Krishna consciousness anywhere. The fact is that in this material world, there is no scarcity of anything except Krishna consciousness. Material necessities are supplied by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. We sometimes feel scarcity because of our mismanagement, but the real problem is that people are out of touch with Krishna consciousness. Everyone is engaged in material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, disease, old age, and death. These four material miseries are called bhava-roga, or material diseases. They can be cured only by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction of human society. So this is a point that is made by Srila Narada Muni to Srila Vyasadeva when he meets him and discusses what he hasn't given in his Vedas, in the Puranas, the Itihasas, which is the means through which everyone can be completely purified. He gave, rather, various loopholes so that people could, through adjusting to material life, gradually come to the point of Krishna consciousness. But Narada said, Tatonyata kinchana yadvavakshita pratagdirshas tadkrita rupanama bi nakarichit kwapicha dushtita matir labeta vata hatanaur ivaspadam. Vata ahata means, vata means wind, ahata, now ivaspadam, now means a boat. And so like a boat that's on the water and it gets blown here and there and can't get to its destination. So Vyasadeva says, Narada says to Vyas, that tatonyata kinchana yad vavakshita, what you've spoken in all of the Vedas by giving various kinds of processes for material adjustment, which gradually elevate one to the point of the bhakti marg. Tatonyata kinchana yad vavakshita pratagdrishas. Pratag means separate, drishas means to see. So pratagdrishas tat krita rupanama bi. Rupanama bi means the names and forms. So basically saying whatever you're telling people, whatever you describe that is pratagdrishas, it's separate in vision from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. That is Krishna as the source of everything, the ultimate goal of the Vedas, and a description of his pastimes. Ete chamshakala pumsam krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge. The foundational verse through which the Goswamis explain that you have to have the highest vision and understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Narayan is an expansion, and that the reason that Krishna is considered the topmost is because of his qualities in relationship with his beauty, his aesthetic quality, his flute playing, his beautiful pastime, and his loving relationship with the devotees. This is vitally important because without this, the demigods have said in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in their prayers to Krishna, Ye neira vindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayasta bhavara vashuddha buddhaya. If you don't have this relationship with Krishna, intimate relationship, developed by hearing about him, then avashuddha buddhaya, your buddhi, your intelligence remains impure. Avashuddha. It's not pure. Avashuddha buddhaya. And this is also described in 4th canto of the Bhagavatam, where it is said that those who don't have bhakti, they're rikta matayo, their heads are empty. They got nothing in their head. So even the Buddha, not the incarnation, the avatar Buddha who appeared, who's Krishna, Shaktivesh, but the sage Buddha who left the kingdom and way and meditated, about whom many things are written. When he came to nirvana, he had nothing. His conclusion was nothing, because he didn't have a connection with the parampara, with pure devotees, to understand the ultimate truth and to imbibe that sound vibration from the spiritual world. So this is what Narada is saying is absolutely necessary for the devotee. Tatonyata kinchana yadvavakshita pratagdrishash tat krita rupanami bi. And nakari chit kwapi chadushtita matir. Dushtita matir means, mati means the way you think, the way your mind works. Dushtita, it will be oscillating. It will oscillate from one thing to the next. Oscillating means always turning, never coming to rest any place. And you have to have that resting place, and it has to be Krishna. He's telling Vyasadeva. People have to know that that's the ultimate goal of life. Otherwise, they'll remain impure. They won't be able to reach the goal because they can't see the goal. So he said, you have to tell them directly exactly what that is, and describe in detail who Krishna is and what our relationship with him is. So this is what Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach, exactly this. What is Krishna's form, name, pastimes, and in the highest of his manifestations as Krishna in the spirit in Goloka Vrindavan, where he has intimate loving pastimes with his devotees. That is love that is unceremonious. It's not weighed down by the opulence and the formality of the relationships that are there in Vaikuntha. It's a spontaneous, loving relationship. Okay, let's go back. Loka gati dhaki acharya karuna hridoy, vichara karena lokera kaiche hita hoy. Seeing the activities of the world, the acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. Loka gati means the course of the world. So the course of the world is set by the eternal time factor. It moves in a certain direction because of destiny, which is created by the karma of the living entities in this world, who take in a certain kind of sound vibration, and then they emanate that sound, and it makes an impression that, as Patanjali describes, gets filled in by material nature. So what we say and what we do matters. The human society now is misdirected because they don't know about Krishna, they don't know about transcendental sound vibration, and they don't know the difference between material topics and spiritual topics. If you bring up spirituality in the association of people who are untrained in this knowledge, when it comes to doing some spiritual act, they'll say, let's start an orphanage, or let's feed people. Nothing wrong with those activities. Actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says this idea of philanthropy often gets marred by not having complete idea about how to actually help people. And therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, and this is quoted in the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, that generally people will kill a lot of animals to feed people and then make it worse, as they don't know that the ultimate benefit of everyone is to receive transcendental knowledge. So the lokahita, the people of the world, they're going in a certain direction, and how can it be remedied? This is also brought up by Narada to Srila Vyasadeva. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin prati sholakam abhadyavatyapi. Namanyanantasya yashonkitani shrinvanti gayanti grananti sadhava. So he says that this tendency of the people of the world to be overcome by the three modes of material nature can only be remedied by the transcendental vibration of the Bhagavatam. Tadvag visargo, because it is a different creation, visarga. It's not from the material world, it's coming from the spiritual world. Janataga viplavo. And viplava means that it is the power that will reverse the tendency of the people of the world from being engaged in materialistic activities, which is the whole problem. The samohita jiva, the jiva who's forgotten completely about his relationship with Krishna, that's the only problem. And bhayam dvitiya binibesha tasyad ishad ape tasya viparya yo smriti. Viparya yo, I mean, he turned around, he's going in the wrong direction. And so the only thing to turn it around is this viplava, or revolution. It turn it the other way, 180 degrees. And that happens through the transcendental sound vibration of the Bhagavatam. Tadvag visarga janataga viplavo yasmin prati shlokam abadya vatyapi. Even if it's irregularly composed, doesn't matter, because namanyanantasya yashon kitanyat, it's full of the names of the Supreme and descriptions of the Supreme, and therefore it transcendentalizes those who hear it. And this is the solution that the greatest souls know, and the avatars like Advaita Acharya, they see the plight of people in the world and they want to do something about it, have compassion, and then they also have the medicine through which people can be reformed. Let's see the rest of that verse. Oops. Yeah. Loka gati, the course of the world. Gati means it's going in a certain direction. And only a spiritual scientist knows why it's going in a certain direction. Dhaki, seeing, Acharya, Advaita Acharya, Karuna Hridoy, compassionate heart. So this is the beauty of the Vaishnavas, Paradhuka Duki. The Vaishnava feels sad because of the suffering of people in general. And this is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, designates the highest class yogi, is one who has compassion for others, who suffers because of their suffering and can relate to what they're going through. And then vichara karena, he's thinking about what to do about it, is Advaita Acharya. Lokera, of the world, kaiche, how. So lokera kaiche, how hita will I give hoy some help to the people of the world. Seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. So if you look at Nectar of Instruction, verse number 5, Prabhupada describes in this about maybe fourth from the last purport, that the highest class devotee is one who's constantly thinking about how to help other people go back home, back to Godhead. Let's see. Keep going. Shraddha Shabde. One should Tama. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wait. Here it is. In this Krishna conscious movement, a chance is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or color. Everyone is invited to join this movement, sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. When we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as a disciple for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. When a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service, by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted immediately as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisances should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada gives this designation amongst the Sangha of Vaishnavas, one who's very strict and follows the process without stopping, comes to a higher platform. And how do we understand that higher platform? Well, the person is very strict and serious in following the regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna, prescribed number of rounds, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna conscious movement. This is in parallel with the thinking of Advaita Acharya and the way in which Krishna describes how the highest yogi is one who is empathizing with people in general. So the lowest devotee is described as a Kanishta Adhikari, and the Kanishta Adhikari doesn't know how to do good for others, and also doesn't know how to recognize advanced devotees. The neophyte devotee sees only the Ishvare Taradine, sees only the deity in the temple, but doesn't see the advancement of other devotees and respect them properly, and also doesn't know how to do good for others. So then the advanced devotee is one who knows the different categories, understands devotees and how to respect them properly, and also knows how to do good for others, can give mercy to other people. This is the Madhyamadhikari. Ishvare Taradineshu, Balisheshu Dusatsucha, Prema, Maitri, Kripopeksha, Yakaroti Samadhyamaha. So advanced devotional service is symptomized by this mood of Advaita Acharya. It's also mentioned in the Bhagavatam in the 8th canto by Shukadeva Goswami, observing Lord Shiva drinking the ocean of poison when he says, Tapyante luktapena sarava prayasojana parama aradhanantadi purushasyakilatmana. He says that the highest devotees are ones who feel for the people of the world and therefore take on some suffering on their own head for the sake of elevating those people. That's the best worship, he says, parama aradhanam. You can't get any better worship than that for Krishna, who's within everyone's heart. That's the best kind of worship of Krishna. So this is the exalted nature of the path that we're on. It has to do with following the footsteps of the Panchatattva, taking shelter of the 5 members of the Panchatattva. And we see here the character of Advaita Acharya. He's showing by example what a Vaishnava is. A Vaishnava is paradukkha dukhi. It feels sorry for the people in general because of their suffering. And therefore is thinking, he's considering, let's look at the verse again. This is what's going through his mind. How can I help the people of the world? That's what this verse says. Vichar means vichar karena. He's considering. You see how that's parallel with what Prabhupada describes, that out of the Krishna consciousness movement emerge those who are more advanced and therefore should be become leaders, spiritual leaders. Vichar karena lokera, kaiche hita hoy. They're thinking, how can I help the people of the world? That's advanced devotional service. So the translation, seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder, vichar karena, how he could act for the people's benefit. Kaiche hitohoi, purport. This sort of serious interest in the welfare of the public makes one a bona fide Acharya. An Acharya does not exploit his followers. Since the Acharya is a confidential servitor of the Lord, his heart is always full of compassion for humanity in its suffering. He knows that all suffering is due to the absence of devotional service to the Lord, and therefore he always tries to find ways to change people's activities, making them favorable for the attainment of devotion. That is the qualification of an Acharya. Although Sri Advaita Prabhu himself was powerful enough to do the work, as a submissive servitor, he thought that without the personal appearance of the Lord, no one can improve the fallen condition of society. In the grim clutches of Maya, the first-class prisoners of this material world wrongly think themselves happy because they are rich, poor, powerful, resourceful, and so on. These foolish creatures do not know that they are nothing but play dolls in the hands of material nature, and that at any moment, material nature's pitiless intrigues can crush to dust all their plans for godless activities. Behold the poetry here. Such foolish prisoners cannot see that however they improve their position by artificial means, the calamities of repeated birth and death, disease, and old age are always beyond the jurisdiction of their control. Foolish as they are, they neglect these major problems of life and busy themselves with false things that cannot help them solve their real problems. They know that they do not want to suffer death or the pangs of disease and old age, but under the influence of the illusory energy, they are grossly negligent and therefore do nothing to solve the problems. This is called Maya. People held in the grip of Maya are thrown into oblivion after death. And as a result of their karma, in the next life, they become dogs or gods, although most of them become dogs. They become gods in the next life. They must engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are sure to become dogs and hogs in terms of the laws of nature. The third-class prisoners, being less materially opulent than the first-class prisoners, endeavor to imitate them, for they also have no information of the real nature of their imprisonment. Thus, they also are misled by the illusory material nature. The function of the Acharya, however, is to change the activities of both the first-class and third-class prisoners for their real benefit. This endeavor makes him a very dear devotee of the Lord, who says clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that human society is dearer to him than a devotee who constantly engages in his service by finding ways to preach the message of Godhead for the real benefit of the world. The so-called acharyas of the age of Kali are more concerned with exploiting the resources of their followers than mitigating their miseries. But Sri Advaita Prabhu, as an ideal acharya, was concerned with improving the condition of the world situation. There we have before us a masterpiece, a purport that you can read again and again. You can put it on your wall. And the poetry of Prabhupada's words and the way he expresses these concepts is unparalleled. It's the confluence of his association with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, with all of the Vedic literatures, and his profound expression of realization because of his relationship with Krishna and Lord Chaitanya that comes out in these purports in such an attractive way, but informative as well. So now let's take some reflections or questions.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. This is Danvari, please.
Hare Krishna, Danavari.
Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances to you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for everything. Whole package is so nice. I get really happy. I want to share these two slokas that Guru Maharaj, you started with Baraha Pidam Natavaravapo Karnayo Karnikaram, that slok, and then the other one from Gopi Geet, Tavakathamrutam Tapta Jivanam. That slok, both sloks are my favorite. Since childhood, my father taught me, and then I read that Lord Chaitanya embraced Pratap Rudra king when he was saying this Tavakathamrutam. That is Lord Chaitanya's favorite, and I really like to recite every day. And thank you so much. I just wanted to share.
You have a blessed birth in this world, that those are your remembrances, that you remember and have favorite shlokas from the Bhagavatam. Speaks of your momentum coming into this world, and also puts you way high in the chart for having complete success in this lifetime. So it's that we get favorite verses in the Bhagavatam and they're very meaningful to us is our lifeline to the spiritual world. So we want everybody to have that opportunity to taste that, even if they weren't born in a family where they got that samskar, which is extremely special. We want everyone, no matter where they take up in life. And I want to mention at this point, I'm dedicating this class today to His Grace Prema Niketan Prabhu, such a dear devotee to so many people. He was one of my older disciples. He passed away yesterday or the day before yesterday, India time. He had been battling some illness for some time. And I got to know him very, very well, staying at his home on my way to and from Vrindavan and in Delhi. And also he traveled so much back and forth from Vrindavan, from Delhi. And whenever I came there, I always rode with him. He drove me everywhere. And we got a chance to talk and talk and talk. And he was so appreciative of the fact that he came in contact with the Krishna consciousness movement. And after a lifetime of a successful material life, and then realizing the futility of it, and then grabbing on wholeheartedly to everything he could possibly get in the later years of his life, it made me appreciate this mood of eagerness. And the sooner that we can develop that, even if you're young as a kid, feel free to grab this really hard and hold on to it throughout this lifetime. There's nothing else to be had that's of value. And that we have very little time. We really don't know how much time we have. Anyway, I dedicate all the kirtan and everything to His Grace Prema Niketan Prabhu, and pray that his family may find solace in realizing the greatness of this soul who lived in their midst and practiced Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Thanks for reminding me of all that.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's see what else. Reflections or questions?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Devavrata.
I wanted to share a reflection from distributing books the other day in the Walmart parking lots.
Yes, please.
I met this man who I came up to him, I showed him the books, and he wasn't so interested. And then about 5 minutes later, he pulled up in his truck and he tried giving me a book called How Money Works. And he was saying, you're very talented. You're obviously a hard worker. You could work for me. You can read this book and you can come work for me. And I didn't say it to him, but I was thinking, I was like, I know how money works. It comes and goes. But what I'm doing, distributing books, this is the best investment I could make with my life, because neha bikramanashtosti patatvayo navidyate, so alpamapasya dharmasya trayate mahabdhobayat. Whatever I invest in this, it's not going to go away. It's with me forever. And so I was just thinking about, all these purports. They're kind of referencing how the best thing that we can do with our time is dedicate all energy into being Krishna conscious and make as much advancement as we can with this short period of time that we have.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Devavrata. Prabhu, and this is one of the reasons that book distribution is such a powerful service, is because when we go out and mix it up with all kinds of people who are affected by various modes of nature, it tends to solidify what we're reading in the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And just as Devavrata Prabhu, because he's deeply studying and the books and also chanting Hare Krishna and living a strict life of practice, then when he hears and sees these things, then it becomes an edifying factor that he'll hear and he'll say, oh, I recognize that mode of nature. And he's able to juxtapose that with what the Bhagavatam says. And this becomes very powerful. Anyadevahur sambhavat, anyadahura sambhavat. Those who can see the difference between knowledge or worship of Krishna and the difference between knowledge of or worshiping Krishna and worshiping that which is not supreme, then somebody can actually have determination and become successful. Let's see what else.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanvat Pranam. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
Jai Prema Sarovara Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj. Question, continuing on that question from Deva Brata Prabhu, we sometimes meet non-devotees who might say, why do I care? Let me enjoy this life. So what would be an ideal response which kind of could convey what we have to say?
Well, we could craft a response, but my immediate thought is, when will that enjoyment begin? The futility of material life is expressed throughout the Bhagavatam. We see Puranjana, who is looking everywhere within the universe to find a suitable place for him to enjoy. And he finally arrived in Bharatvarsha, and there he saw a beautiful park, and it appeared to be a place where he could enjoy. The Bhagavatam goes into much detail about birds and the flora and the fauna and the sound vibration. And then he sees a beautiful young woman. So this is the epitome of enjoyment in the material world. This is where the plot always thickens in every play, every movie. Boy meets girl, and okay, now this is where the real enjoyment's going to start. So we learn from Puranjana. He meets the beautiful woman, and he becomes attractive. So he starts chatting with her and flattering her, and then she's flattered, and they have this implicit agreement that yes, let's enjoy together. And he asks her, where do you come from? And where are you going? She said, I have no idea. I just know now. And this is the material intelligence. She represents material intelligence, that I only know now. I only know that I'm here now. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and let's go get a Slurpee. And there's no consideration of consequences whatsoever in this so-called enjoyment. So when they get together, the scenario plays out in such a way that Puranjana is living with his wife, and then he leaves for a hunting trip and goes kills animals. He transgresses dharma by leaving his wife and spending time with other women. And then he comes back. His wife, who represents dharma, is in a state of depression and angry at him. And then he makes up. And then they try to make up for lost time being together. And wherever his wife goes, he goes. Whatever she thinks, he thinks. Whatever she eats, he eats. And this is, it's showing, the Bhagavatam is showing the pattern of material life, that the male and female come together, there's a kind of bonding, and there's this expectation that sometime the happiness is going to happen. But what happens is, while they're life is what happens. I think John Lennon wrote this in a song. Life is what happens when you're making other plans. Is that correct? Anybody know John Lennon songs? No. Śrī Madhava Mahotsav knows George Harrison. He met him in Vrindavan.
That is a John Lennon song.
Thank you very much, Subhadra. I deeply appreciate it. We need an archivist from the 70s here to help us sometimes. So there's this expectation they're going to be happy, but what the Bhagavatam reveals to us, as they're trying to enjoy together, then there's this attack that takes place, and it's insidious because the time factor comes, and they don't realize that, oh, we've gotten old. And then Puranjana, who's a metaphor for this, the city of the body, he's living within, it gets attacked by old age. And then the fever comes, the fever of death takes away his life. And at the time of death, he is naturally absorbed in what he was doing throughout his lifetime, which was trying to enjoy with his wife. And then he thinks of his wife at the time of death, and he takes birth. in his next life in a different body, in the opposite. Now he becomes a woman in his next life. And life goes on with the pursuit for happiness, but he never actually touches it. Actually, the kind of happiness we get is a representation of happiness. It's an image that we're looking at in the mind. We never actually touch the world. We're only looking at a reflection of it or a photograph of it on the chitta, or the mind. The mind is a subtle substance that is within our body. Our body is a microcosm of the whole universe. And that subtle substance there records the imagery that comes from the outside world. So we as the Purusha within the body, the person who's trying to enjoy in that city of 9 gates, we're looking at that imagery on the chitta that's imprinted there. And as if we're watching a movie, we don't actually interact with the world. We only interact with the imagery on the screen. This isn't everything you should say to that person. I'm just trying to analyze it. But the fact is that when does the enjoyment start? And the Bhagavatam can give us the high perspective that actually we never touch happiness in this material world. Or if we do, as the Vaishnava poets say, that if you're in the desert, your feet are being scorched, you're thirsty, you need water, you're going to die. And someone says, yes, I'll give you water. And then Jayadev says, okay, here's 1 drop. Bring an eyedropper. You need a lot of water to satisfy your thirst, to stop your feet from burning. But then someone says, okay, I give you water. You can't say it's not water, but it's 1 drop. It's not enough. So the same thing with the material world. You never quite get the happiness you're looking for. And if it does come, it's insufficient. It doesn't satisfy what we actually want. So for people like that, actually, philosophically, we may present many points, but it's often best to give them some kind of an experience. For instance, distributing prasadam can be very effective, as prasadam has transcendental qualities, all the transcendental qualities of Krishna. And if you just give them prasadam that they like and keep giving it to them, then their mindset gets purified, and they can take an interest in devotional service. That's sort of a fix-all. Prasadam fixes everything. Let's see what else there is. Yes.
Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Vaikuntanayaka Prabhu. Good to see you.
Same here, Maharaj. Actually, I was intrigued by that verse 97, where actually Advaita Acharya says that everyone's engaged in material world, whether sinfully or virtuously, right? It is as if the two are the same things. He is not actually giving a higher importance to the so-called virtue or so-called goodness in this world. Actually, I was reminded that Srila Prabhupada, I think, very graphically described this as the dry end of the stool or the wet end, like that, right?
Yeah.
And we have these spiritual organization also here in India, which says do good, be good, and they think that this is all there is to to life. And what to speak of the spiritual organization? I was reading this 11th canto, where actually Krishna is instructing Uddhava, and there I think he refutes the theory of Jaimini. I think it's one of the 6 darshans or the philosophies, the Mimamsas, where they feel that everything is, all that you need to do is engage in good fruitive material karmic activities, and how Krishna is refuting that. So it was very interesting that actually how Advaita Acharya is in the same lines he's talking. But while that is really thought-provoking, I do have that question that what exactly prompts one to take up devotional service if it's not his pious activities? Because everybody is distributing books, everybody, but only few take it, right? Everybody, we are giving prasadam, but only few benefit from it. So if it is not virtuous activities, if it is not pious activities, what prompts a person to take his first step towards devotional service? Is it Agyata Sukriti or what? Could you please elaborate on that?
Sure. There's a way in which, in traveling throughout the material world, Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, the living entity, he's wandering from one place to another, means there's no satisfaction, there's no resting place. But when one comes in contact with a devotee who's speaking about Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, distributing Krishna consciousness, whether that person who's wandering understands what just happened, by the impression that he or she gets by hearing from that person, coming in contact, rendering some service, that there's a seed, a subtle seed is planted. Everything grows in this material world from subtle to gross. Every gross manifestation we see around us is an evolute from something subtle. In fact, the whole universe is like that. And also the growth of devotional service is described by Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu as an evolution that starts by the planting of a seed or a bij. And that bij comes from those who are planters, who distribute the sound vibration. That's why this distribution is so important. The Madhyama Adhikaris who understand the purpose of the Lord go out and give the transcendental vibration to as many people as possible and engage them. That's why Prabhupada engaged his disciples early on, for instance, in India, in Maidan Cross Road. Shama Sundar put together a festival where millions of people could come. Of course, it was in Bharatvarsha. They're all so pious there. But they come and they hear Hare Krishna and they get benefit. And Prabhupada used to say from these exhibitions that we make, whether big, small, medium, it doesn't matter. You know, if you go and you broadcast, then people come in contact with it. Of course, you know, there's this ongoing debate about the power of Agyata Sukriti. We shouldn't just be satisfied that, okay, I sprayed it on people, therefore they're going to get benefit. I mean, the Shastra is clear. The fact is that when somebody hears the holy name from a devotee, when they chant it, they get benefit. But we also have to help them by developing an infrastructure, and Prabhupada started this. That's why he made temples all over the world, so that people could come and sit and see the deities here and so forth. So the short answer is that through this contact with devotees, one way or another, in some lifetime, one gets this impression of bhakti within one's mind and heart. Yadabaso pyudyan kabalita bhavadvanta vibhabo drishan tatvandanam api dishati bhakti pranayanim. Rupa Goswami says the holy name is so powerful that when somebody who's andhanam, they're blind, they don't know anything about tattva, they don't know anything about Krishna or bhakti, but when they hear the holy name from the devotees, then it can awaken that sense of bhakti in them. That's the power of it. And so there's some kind of seed planted by association with a devotee somewhere. And if one can do some service, then Shraddha awakens. And Prabhupada says that every living being has a bank account in his or her heart. And every time that we get some connection with devotees, devotional service, then we put a deposit in that bank account. Yadrishi Shraddha Satir Bhavati Tadrishi, Brahma Samhita. Krishna is telling Brahma that gradually, Yadrishi Shraddha, that Shraddha becomes stronger and thicker. So then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangata Bhajana Kriya. From Agyata Sukriti comes Shraddha, or one has some appreciation for devotional service. As you said, in distributing, you find rare people, they're very interested. And it's not that the other people don't get benefit. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told his Madbasis, you should go out every day and knock at least 3 doors. He said, even if they don't listen to you, they get the benefit. They see a devotee and they think, oh, some holy person came to my door. Even if they slam the door in your face, then they still think, these Hare Krishnas should go away. Prabhupada emphasized this. He said, Krishna's name is so powerful, the devotees who are distributing it are so noteworthy that he said, even if people come through the airport and they see you, at that time we dominated the world through the airports, and they'd see you, and then Prabhupada said, if they think, oh, there's that rascal Hare Krishna man, he should go away. He said they thought Hare Krishna, and so the name has some power and influence. Of course, we'd like to organize so that it has the most positive influence. So when they see us, they think that was the most beautiful presentation I've ever seen. I want to go back to it. That was the nicest prasadam I ever tasted. These are the nicest people I ever met. Because then it goes more deeply within the hearts of people. And so we shouldn't develop a militant attitude, in my opinion, that, okay, we're spraying it on people, so it doesn't matter what else we do, because it's like a virus. It just hits you and then you're done. Lord Chaitanya was very thoughtful about how he presented, specifically so that he could capture the minds and hearts of people. And why is Vyasadeva so concerned in talking to his guru? He wants to present it in such a way that they can understand it completely and it'll have the highest benefit. So that's the kind of adjustment that goes on within the minds and hearts of devotees. And Prabhupada used to say, Manushyanam sahasreshu kasyad yaptati siddhaya. So it's rare that people are interested in spiritual life. So you can take it like that Krishna said it. It's rare people take it. So when you're out preaching and you find only a few people who are really interested, that's very much in line with the actuary tables that Krishna has presented in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see what else. Okay, Shreya has a question here. She says, differentiated between Shakti Avatar Buddha and said there was a separate Buddha that came to the null conclusion of nirvana. Can you please reconcile the existence of these Buddhas, which, as per my understanding, seem to be two different entities? Yeah, they seem historically to be two different entities. There's the avatar, which is mentioned in our Dasa Avatar Stotra, and there's also the story of Buddha. Buddha is more of a title, a name of somebody, not a specific avatar, except in the case of where it says it in the Shastras. And so there's these stories of Siddhartha Buddha and coming out of the palace, seeing the suffering of people, and then going back to meditate and rise above samsara. But with no guru, he came to a null conclusion. Rikta Matayo, he didn't have the connection to the parampara. Okay, let's see, a reflection from Madhava Govinda Prabhu, who said, I was remembering the pastime of Haridas Thakur when Lord Chaitanya asked him, how can these yavanas be delivered? And Haridas Thakur replies that the Lord does not, do not take anxiety. Actually, that section, anyway, he's saying, Srila Prabhupada mentions these words of Haridas Thakur are just befitting a devotee who has dedicated his life and soul to the service of the Lord. When the Lord is unhappy because of the condition of the fallen souls, the devotee consoles him, saying, my dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. This is service. Everyone should adopt the cause of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu to try to relieve him from the anxiety he feels. This is actually service to the Lord. Yeah, that's a very important quotation. And the devotee who notices that this is the innermost desire of the Lord to help the conditioned souls and then goes about that work becomes very quickly recognized. Okay, other points? Vamshuli said, please accept my obeisances. The daily activities of devotional service are going on outwardly, but I'm not putting my heart enough into it. How to get to the point where I want to chant and not just have to. Well, think about it when you sit to chant and remember how helpless you are. This is the recommendation of Queen Kunti when she says, Janmai Shvarya Shruta Shribir Edam Anabadapuman Naivar Yavidatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Become a Kinchana. Remember, take some time to meditate on this fact that you don't really have anything. It's all borrowed plumes, as Prabhupada writes, and we'll be helpless at some times. Start from that position when you chant, And Prabhupada said, when you're in that helpless condition, feel helpless, you are helpless, so feel it, get in touch with that reality, and then chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and it will conflagrate. The chanting will cause a fire to burn. If you chant with that mood of being akinchana, I don't have anything, I didn't get anything yet. I'm the one who was left out, and it's my own fault. So now I'm begging and begging. Please give me one drop. Just let me taste it one time. Ek bar nam rashi matore, said Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Try to be in this mood that, my Lord, I didn't get anything. I'm the one who got left out. So now I'm begging, if you just give me one little drop. Ek bar, one time. Ek bar nam rashi matore. Give me that one drop where I'll feel it, where I'll be changed by this. And that can happen in one japa session. Plan for it. Make your day rotate around that, and then sit down and lean into your chanting so you break something. Really chant from your heart. Don't just get it done. And even if you can't do that for 16 rounds, because you don't practice, anything you practice for, you can develop. And so start with what you can do. If you can do half a round in that mood, or 5 mantras, do it like that and keep practicing. Like we did this morning, we have these japa sessions specifically so we can focus and remember this is a discipline that is necessary for us to advance. Okay. Let's see.
Mush.
Yes.
I just wanted to share a reflection. I was listening to one of your classes from about 2 years ago, I think. No, a few years ago, in 2014. And you were talking about, the name of the class is Beware of Maya. And you were talking about how our standing in Krishna consciousness is a gift. And so when you were just speaking on this point of I don't have anything, I was just thinking that anything that we have is just a gift. Just to be grateful for that is just such an amazing, amazing accomplishment.
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing up that point. And it's helpful, of course, in any discipline, but especially in Krishna consciousness, to be a beginner's mind. Don't feel entitled. That somehow or other, mercifully, somebody dragged me in and is allowing me to stay here and be a part of the devotees. And keep that. Start over every day and say, I'm the beginner here. I'm starting over. I don't know anything. I'm totally dependent. And that kind of mindset's really important. Trinad api sunichena toror api suhishnuna amanida manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That was Lord Chaitanya's instruction. He said, be very, very humble and don't think I'm something big. I'm just a little, I'm here. I'm a mercy case. How did you get here? I'm just a mercy case. Somebody let me in the back door because I was scratching on it. And, I don't really deserve to be here, but somehow or they let me in. And I'm just here with the devotees. If we have that mood, then we can chant. And if we lose that mood and it gets covered over with this idea, Janma Aishvarya Shruta Shri Bir, that can happen in devotional service. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a big something. Krishna says, Nirmana moha jitta sangha dosha. Nirman means don't be the man. Like you walk in, I'm the man. Kirtan, I'm chanting kirtan, but my mantra really in my mind is look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And, this is an idea that is coming out of my mind while I'm chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the vibration is different from somebody who's helpless and calling out that Krishna, I need you. Prabhupada's kirtans were powerful. He chanted simple tunes. He only had 3 tunes altogether. And they're very simple, but because of the power of what was coming out of Prabhupada's heart, people were moved by it. And the whole movement started around it. So it's the quality of the vibration that we make dependent on the quality of our consciousness. And so Nirman, be Nirman.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
I was like, I was listening to one lecture that you gave previously in 2015, titled "The Psychology of Frustration," and I could relate it pretty much with what we were discussing here. You just talked about the futility of material life, and that lecture you were talking how that you made a reference from Prahlad Maharaj's teachings that anything that we endeavor for in this material world, we get the opposite result. And on the other hand, whatever we, I mean, even the entry level result that we get by getting in touch with the spiritual vibration is
Yes, and in Prahlad's teachings, he says this, that everybody inevitably gets the opposite result. This is what Arjuna says, Viparitani Keshava. He's saying in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, I'm here in the battlefield. This doesn't look good. I'm going to get the opposite of what I wanted out of life. And Prabhupada comments, Viparitani. Viparitani means, okay, I'm getting the opposite. So on the other hand, with devotional service, Krishna is so kind that if we approach him with all our complexities in life, Satyam drishyati artitam artito nrinam, naivartato yat punar artito yata, swayam vidate bhajatam anichatam icha pitanam bhajatam anichatam. So Satyam dishyati artito nirnam, artitam artito nirnam, naivardato yat punar artita yata. So arta, the person who takes to Krishna consciousness, but then keeps asking Krishna for, I want this, I want that. I may come to Krishna consciousness, but I still have material desires, in other words. And but what about this? What about that? I need this. In order to be a real devotee, if you first give me this, then I'll think about surrendering, Krishna. So anyway, Krishna thinks this person's a fool. I'm giving the best thing, but this person's thinking, give me something else. So Krishna says, this person may be a fool, but I'm not a fool. I have a lot of experience. And so he gives the material desires to the person, but he does it in such a way that they don't want it anymore. He covers over that desire with a desire instead for Krishna's lotus feet. Icha pitanam nija pada means I give him my personal association, pallavam, my beautiful lotus feet. So if we approach Krishna, even if we're in a confused state of mind, but we keep trying, then Krishna will help to sort things out so that we will eventually come to this point of pure devotional service. And also, as Prabhupada indicates in the verse, Sarvadharaman Parityaja, we can preemptively do that at any time. In other words, we can just decide, I've had enough of the material world. I'm just going to go ahead and surrender to Krishna in every way that I possibly can at every moment. And let's just be done with the whole thing. And Krishna says to such a person, Ma shuchaha, don't worry, I'll back you up on this 100%. And that's really exciting life. The rest of it is kind of a, the evolution is there, but it's what a drag to be left behind. And especially because we have a finite amount of time in this lifetime. Wouldn't it be glorious to be able to beat the system and actually make it in one life? Yeah, make it in one life, like surprise all the critics and, just surprise yourself, surprise your own mind, that says, you're useless, you can't do this. And just very quietly, in a very determined way, turn everything around and say, I don't care what anybody says, including my own mind. I'm going to take up Krishna's offer and I'm going to surrender. Why not do that? Nothing wrong with that plan, right? Shreya, what do you think there in North Carolina? Is it a good plan?
Yes, it's the best plan out there.
Thank you very much. We needed a verbal yes to confirm. So that can be done, and that's a devotee's praying for that. Just let me do that plan. And Ananyas Chintayantamam Yejana Paripasade. I heard Prabhupada speaking just recently, and he was saying, I didn't come with anything to this country, and now I look at all the facility I have. He said, I've been around the world 14 times, and I'm a penniless beggar, monk. I don't have anything. I've been around the world 14 times. Even billionaires can't do that because they're locked into doing their work. They have the karma bandha phansa. They still have, you get $1 billion and you still, I got to take care of my company. And you're 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, and then you drop dead, and then you're born, you got to work again. So ananyas chintayantamam yejana paripasade. I'm not against work, but it's the mood of surrender. It has to be, Krishna, I want everything for you, everything dedicated. And if you just fix your mind upon me, Krishna says, then yogakshema vahamyaham, you'll see I'm right there. I'll take care of you. And that's the meaningful part of life.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hey, Haribol, Bhakti Alex. You know,
Please accept my obeisances.
I was just in a meeting with the Bhakti Center a couple of days ago, and they were showing me pictures. Is
Okay.
it called the Soul Spot?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, your inspiration. We're trying to.
Really
get some
beautiful. They're
inspiration.
doing this table with signs and Soul Spot, and so many people coming and taking Krishna consciousness there in New York. Please go ahead, Bhakti Alex, and thank you for the service you're doing.
Yeah, it's all your grace, Guru Maharaj, truly. I was really appreciating the point you were making about not trying to be the man and like being in the mood of being like the new guy every day. And it reminded me of one of my favorite Bhagavatam stories, which is Jud Bharat, and how he not only wasn't trying to present himself as very learned, which he was, but he actually presented himself as being retarded almost, because he really just didn't want to get into it, the whole like name and fame thing. And so I was really appreciating that point. But also in that regard, I was curious in that sometimes we have devotees come to us who may be feeling a lack of inspiration and not so enthusiastic, and they're kind of struggling in their Krishna consciousness. And then the natural kind of reaction that I think a lot of your disciples especially feel is to say, well, just go do books, go out your door and try and give a book to somebody, because you really then can tap into that stream of inspiration and enthusiasm that comes from like following the order of Lord Chaitanya. But at the same time, we don't want to come off like, we're above them and we're instructing them, because obviously, I'm not for sure, but, just, how to maybe present the idea of like going out on book distribution to somebody without making it feel like, you're the man, and like you're telling them, what to do, in a sense, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, a couple thoughts. One is in the Gita, Krishna says that you shouldn't discourage people, but you should encourage them to work whatever they're doing in the spirit of devotion. So the mood is, Krishna is presenting is be gentle with the position people are in now, and then just encourage them to do what they can with what they have. And as far as going on book distribution, the idea of we're in this together and we're just going out to see what'll happen, because we're doing the right thing, and it's very exciting to go out into the great unknown known as the public. And it's fun and easy. Make it a festive environment and invite people to come along. Ramananda Sakra Prabhu, the first time I remember him at the temple, he walked in and we were on our way out to go set up book tables. And he had just come. We greeted him. He was new at the temple. And I said, well, we're all just going out right now on Sankirtan. He said, what's that? I said, you want to come? And he said, what is it? And he said, well, we just set up some tables and we're distributing books. And he said, sure, I'll come along. And he ended up distributing a book or more that day as a complete beginner. Of course, he's obviously an advanced soul who walked in, but as far as the orientation to our community and ISKCON distribution of books and things, he was new at that time, but he kind of got swept along. So it's always helpful to create a festival environment. I notice that whenever I do Sankirtan seminars in any given community, a lot more people generally will come for the philosophical part, presenting the PowerPoint. But then when it gets time to actually walk out the door together, things come up. Like, my mom needs a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll be right back in a few days after this thing is over, and so forth. So, I notice that the more I lower the bar and I say, actually, we're not going out to distribute books. We're just seeing if we can actually walk out the door. That's the only part you have to do. Go out and touch the pavement. That's become a ritual, that we go out to your spot, just try to make it, you really don't have to do any books. And we don't want you to do any, actually. No need to perform, and don't even try it, because, that's not what we're doing. We're just going out to see what it feels like to conquer the mind and walk out the door, then together touch the pavement. And if it happens after that you want to try something, then fine. So oftentimes framing it for people in that way, because I notice that devotees get it in their mind that, I have to perform. And then they play a scenario in their mind that when I try to perform and I don't know what I'm doing, I'll be rejected. And then I'll look like a fool, and people won't think, I think you're not very advanced. And there's all these false expectations they put upon themselves. So in order to help people overcome that, you have to anticipate those and take them away and give them, confidence that you're successful already just because you showed up. And if you walk out the door with us, you're going to feel something that's really exciting, but we don't want you to do anything today. Just watch, hang out. And then I find that the people who are kind of self-starters, they'll break that rule and they'll start running around doing it themselves anyway. And the other people who are shy, they feel full protection to be able to stay back and just watch and do behind the scenes services to help others. And then they get caught up in the mood of it. And that can help a lot. Well, as usual, we've run over time, but it's been a real pleasure, hasn't it, going into the Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta? And it just, did anybody find where those other two verses were? I think there were two more about how each, didn't we add some, Shraddha, verses about Shri Vishnu Parikshadabhavad. There's a long verse that can be sung in that tune about how each devotee attained perfection by a particular kind of devotional service. I've seen them. They're somewhere in a PowerPoint already.
Is it? Okay, because I don't remember adding it. Maybe.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'll check with Shamalangi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, I think we had done it, but today maybe we are presenting the other one. So yeah, we'll check it. Yes.
Where are they, Shamalangi?
I will look there in the Google Drive. I'll check with Shraddha Mataji and we'll find out, Raj.
Okay. We're suffering due to lost verses. They've disappeared somewhere. Okay, so now let us have our Guru Puja program, and then if we find the verses, we'll sing them. Hare Krishna.
Raj, I think CC Madhya 22-136, one of the words.
22-136. Okay, thank you. Who said that?
It's Mukharavinda.
Hey, Mukharavinda, good work. That's a nice service that you do, always finding the verses right away. It really is a nice service. Let's look at that real quick. Let's see if we can sing it. We'll see you on the other side. We're traveling to Jamulus land. We'll be right back with you.
Madhya 22-136.
Hare Krishna. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshita Bhava Vaisesika Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Rarangri Bhajane Lakshmi Vritu Pujane Akurasva Vivandane Kapipatir Dasa Dasa Girjuna Sarva Swatmani Vedani Balirabu Krishna Kirisham Parana. One more time from the top. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshita Bhava Vaisesika Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Tarangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pitur Pujane Akrurasvati Vandane Kapipati Dasa Dasa Girjuna Sarvasvatmani Vedane Balirabu Krishna Kirisham. Keep the harmonium going. Let's read the translation. Maharaj Parikshit attained the highest perfection, shelter at the Lord's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Shukdev Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity, and Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Bajrangaji, Hanuman, attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramachandra, and Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of Krishna. Shamalangi or Shraddha, do you remember what the other verse was? Might have been one more. Okay. We'll go to the Guru Puja. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Namasheshtam Maramapi Shachiputramatra Sarupam Shirupam Tasyagrajam Urupari Matarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivadaboho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratichakripaya Shri Guru Tamratosmi He Guru Gyanadadina Bangho Svanudadata Purunaika Sindo Vrindavana Sita Hitavata Rasida Radha Kayam Vishwara He Dinabando Purunaika Sindo Puru Prasadam Maimandam He Laksha Parade Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishne. I bow to the lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachimata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon us. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Śrī Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bando Mui Sabadana Kehe Jahara Prashare Bhai Bhavato Viyaja Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Goriya Aikya Arna Kori Ho Maniyasha Shri Guru Charane Rati Shayudama Gati Jai Prashari Pure Sarva Asha Jai Prashari Pure Sarva Asha Tam Diloche Janme Janme Prabhushe Yagyan Hire Prokashito Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Abhidya Vinasa Jate Hidekaya Jahara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamanta Naramandu Lokana Loke
Tribhuvana
Vijashti Shikrivana
Vijayaspasa Tribhuvana
Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya
Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Little faster, Shivasadi. Whoever's playing cartoons. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Go Premanandi Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Vaisesika. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Kishori. Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Everybody together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nariya Godruma Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan, Pate Ache Nam Hata Jive Rakana Namhat, Pate Ache Nam Hata Jive Rakaran, Sharavan Jan He, Sharavan Jan He, Sharavan Jan He, Sharavan Jan He, Prabhu Ragnai Pai Magiye Diksha, Prabhu Ragnai Pai Magiye Pika, Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika, Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Krishna Shika, Bolo Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika, Krishna Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. Aparada Shina Hoy Loho Krishna, Aparada Shina Hoy Loho Krishna, Aparada Shina Hoy Loho Krishna, Aparada Shina Hoy Loho Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanna Pran, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanna Pran, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanna Pran, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhanna Pran. Hey, Krishna Samsara Koro Chari Anacha, Krishna Samsara Koro Chari Anacha, Krishna Samsara Koro Chari Anacha, Krishna Samsara Koro Chari Anacha. Jive Dvaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sam, Jive Dvaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sam, Jive Dvaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sam, Jive Dvaya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sam. Hare Krishna Nityananda Mahajan, Jai Nityananda Prabhu, Nariya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Mahajan, the great Mahajan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Chant Hare Krishna all over the world. Mysore, Chicago. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Buenos Aires, New York City, Fremont, California, Burlingame. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Chant, chant.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai.
Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanande Nariya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Bhakte Achena Mata Jivera Karan Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nariya Godume Nityananda Mahajan, Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire, Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire, Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire, Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire. Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman. Hey!
Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Puri, Nachriyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Puri, Nachriyar Marman.
Joy Alto Nai Hey. Chaitanya Puri, Nachriyar Marman.
Nitai Chaitanya Puri, Nachriyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri
Marman.
Marman.
Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Hey!
Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman.
Ore aparada dure jabe babe premadan.
Ore aparada dure jabe babe premadan.
Ore aparada dure jabe babe premadan.
Aparada dure jabe babe premadan.
Vichar to na hai. Vichar to na hai.
Vichar to na hai.
Oh, name aparad. Vichar to na hai.
Name aparad.
Oh, name aparad. Vichar to na hai.
Name aparad. Vichar to na hai.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
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 Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Hey!
Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Rakon Krishna me ruchi habe guchi vipandan. Once you have a taste for the holy name of Krishna, Rakon Krishna name ruchi habe guchi vipandan. Bondage to this world will come to an end. Anurakto habe hey.
Anurakto habe
Anurakto habe hey. Gotta get the anurag.
habe
Krishna name Anurakto habe hey. Krishna name Anurakto habe hey. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Hey!
Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachariyar Marman.
Nakonanaya se sapala bejivera jivan. Oh, when there is attachment to the holy name of Krishna. Nakonanaya se sapala bejivera jivan. Then very easily a living being becomes successful. Jivanto michehe. Without this affection, life is useless. Jivanto michehe. Krishna rati bina. Jivanto michehe. Krishna rati bina. Jivanto michehe. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri Marman.
Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Shri
Nachariyar Marman.
Marman.
Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Nachariyar Marman. Hey! Radha Shamir Pabe Darshan. Deshe Vrindavane Radha Shamir Pabe Darshan.
Radha Shamir Pabe Darshan.
Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu was so kind to his devotees. Haridas Thakur, Sanatan Goswami stayed somewhere far away from the temple of Lord Jagannath, but every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to see them. Anyone, no matter where he or she is from, any part of the planet, they can be in a cave, they can live in a fire tower way up in the sky, they can be in some unknown neighborhood down in an obscure part of the world. But if he or she takes Lord Chaitanya in his or her heart and begins to chant the Maha Mantra, and then teach a few other people how to chant Hare Krishna, gets a few books, passes them out, makes some prasadam, the best of his or her ability, then Lord Chaitanya will personally come visit that person's house also. And the secret in life is to get the glance of Mahaprabhu, who's running here and there all over the world, trying to give love of God to everyone. Those who become agents for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be successful in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Those who hear this and realize that this is the biggest sale of the universe that's ever taken place, and I'm going to put everything into it. Wake up in the middle of the night so happy that you can hear it all over the world, them singing Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, sing it, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, louder, louder, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Goya Nitai Chaitanya Goya Nitai Chaitanya Goya Nitai Chaitanya Goya Nitai Chaitanya Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Hey Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari 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 Bol Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nach Re Amar Man Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nach Re Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Hey Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Nachariyar Marman Go brave the day Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hare Krishnas. You just can't stop chanting Hare Krishna. It's addictive. Hare Krishna.
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 Let's
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna People's Party. Okay, Hare Krishnas. What's the announcements for today? The leaders should give us some directions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances of Krishna Prabhupada.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you for the ecstatic kirtan, Prabhuji. It was as if we were at the temple. It felt like that. We actually are still planning, and we are waiting for the launch for our new marathon tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, last week we discussed multiple options, and we also had a call with Devavrata Prabhu, and we found out how he's distributing books at Walmart, and especially right now. So we got some information, and devotees are going to try something this weekend. So we are requesting your blessings, Prabhu, that the devotees can try something new and something safe so that we can distribute more of the Bhagavad Gitas.
Wow. That's exciting. A breakthrough somewhere, right? In presentation?
Yes.
Coming from our own Devavrata Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, well, we'll be very eager to hear what he has to say and teach us.
Yes, Prabhu.
I'm just wrote a paper about Purushottam Mas. So some are asking me, what should we do? What's the protocol for Purushottam Mas? But I'm doing my due diligence by talking to various pundits around the world and getting the actual pramanam in Sanskrit so that I can present a balanced view. And I will be, it's just being edited right now so that it gets perfect. And I also have to circle back to one pundit to make sure I got all the Shastra in the right place to present what, at least an idea about how we can view Purushottam Mas. And I'll be releasing that either this afternoon or latest tomorrow morning.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
We are waiting for that, Prabhu.
Sorry for the delay.
No
It's
problem.
not, it's a sort of it's an issue that requires a little balance. So, and then we have, do you have more, Malini, to say?
Prabhu, I was just reflecting how you mentioned in the class today that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked his brahmacharis to go and knock at least 3 doors every day. And I was thinking that we could do the same every weekend. We can at least call 3 people, talk to 3 people, give books to 3 people. And we can keep that as our aspiration that every weekend we should at least try for 3 new contacts where we can present the Krishna consciousness, either a Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that effort, we'll continue our calling party today at 2 p.m. And anybody who would like to join, please do so. It's really fun. Now it's become fun because devotees have a lot of plans that we make during the calling party and churn some ideas too. So please join if you can.
Thank you, Malini. I just mentioned in a macro sense what we're putting together overall for the a pattern for ISKCON to follow all around the world is that the last quarter of the year be especially dedicated to outreach and book distribution and so forth. So we're building a kind of a rainbow that covers this year, especially Purushottam Mas, Damodar month, and the Gita Jayanti, all in one sort of what we are looking at as an extended Prabhupada marathon, because it's not what it used to be. People are in different places around the world. Some people take off during particular months and so forth. So this last quarter is a time for those who are interested in helping to develop this pattern to put some effort into having a big push during the last quarter to come to the finish line around January 7th. And everybody working together, doing a little bit, as Melanie pointed out, will keep the momentum. And it'll be very exciting to finish, particularly this year, which has been a bag of interesting events, and is by all indications is going to get even more interesting as the year goes on. Best if we take shelter at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet and expand Sankirtan during this time. It'll go down in history, I guarantee you. It already is, but it'll be even more. Thank you, Melanie. And now let's hear from Jai Madhava Prabhu about our progress with Bhakti Community.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to do a quick recap of Bhakti Community request. I'll share my screen and walk through how we can help propagate Bhakti Community. So as we know, whenever we give books or whenever we come in contact with any newcomer, please extend the Bhakti Community invitation to them. It's very simple. bhakticommunity.com/invite newcomers. So if you go to this URL, you would be able to see a document which has a sample email which you can take, just edit it as you see fit. It has nice brochure as well of the programs, and you can just copy paste, make some edits and send it. And when you send it, please do CC hi@bhakticommunity.com also, so that we are aware that you have sent. And if they have any follow-on questions about any program, etc., we would be able to answer them. So please do extend the invitation to any newcomer you come in contact. And we have a very special offer going on for a very limited time called bhakticommunity.com/discover. So for a very short time, we are offering 3 months free discovery of Bhakti Community for any newcomer. So if they are newcomer and they want to explore, they can come to this URL, bhakticommunity.discover. If you go to this URL, bhakticommunity.discover, then you'll have come to this page where they can give their email address, etc., and sign up. And the most important thing is this sign up does not require any financial information. That is, you don't need to sign up with your credit card or PayPal, etc. You can discover Bhakti Community for 3 months before you actually subscribe. And you have the option of either joining Srimad Bhagavatam class. If you've taken new Srimad Bhagavatam book set, please encourage them to join this. We'll have eminent speakers leading this class, primarily catered towards Westerners and Indian newcomers, as well as Discover Yourself, another class where the basics of Krishna consciousness will be explained in a simplified way. And we are hoping for quick sign up of newcomers, like 10-15. As soon as we get those signups, this offer will be closed. So please, I do encourage to avail this opportunity. It is really very limited time that this opportunity is available. And in addition to this two offer that we have, also, as you know, we do have the Bhakti Community Facebook page, where every week the youth team is tirelessly creating pearls of Bhakti wisdom from various classes, and they are adding them on to this page on a weekly basis. For example, this week we have Niharika, who added Overcoming the Tricks of Time. It's a very nice clip. Then we have Shweka, who added Changing the Channel Changes Your Life. And then again, Shweka, she is on a roll. What do we do? What do we take with us? Another video clip she has added. And Sleka again, Resilience in Spirituality. So there are 4 new videos which have come up, each one of them 2-3 minutes long, very important nuggets, wisdom nuggets. So please do subscribe, do come to this page, follow it, like it, as well as share each of these videos so that more and more of your contacts can benefit from this. And lastly, wanted to share some good news. We do have 2 partner portals which are going to come up on Bhakti Community. So ISKCON Sydney is formally going to have their own portal within bhakticommunity.com, where we are working next 2-3 weeks. We'll see them coming on our website, and as well as ISKCON Alachu. I had a very good conversation with them this week, and they are also very keen to come on to Bhakti Community portal. So you'll see both the temples coming on to Bhakti Community. And we do have the visiting cards or information cards for Bhakti Community, which you can, and whenever you distribute book, please just add this nice little card in the book and share it with them. I have more than 500 at my place, which I can send across, or anyone else. Kautuk Karan Prabhu has reached out. I'm giving it to him, 100 of those, and even Ananga Gopika Mataji has reached out. So I'll be giving these cards to them. So whenever they give any books, they'll just add it along with it, so that more and more people, whenever they get the book, they also get the information about Bhakti Community. So those are the quick recap of the various things we can help with Bhakti Community. And for these partners, we are lining up partners. If anyone is interested in helping out, volunteering in managing partners, please do let me know. We will be lining up more and more of those. So any help is welcome there.
So this is all well and good, but is Bhakti Community actually making a difference in the lives of any real devotees? Or isn't it just a bunch of websites and Facebooks and, we've seen this before, all kinds of infrastructure, but is anybody really changing because of this?
Thank you for bringing up the essence of what we are trying to do. I'll just share a short story which Vilas Manjari Mataji from ISKCON Sydney shared last week. And that's what propelled them to actually formally create a portal within Bhakti Community. They are working with 4 or 5 various Bhakta Sangha group, they call it, for basically for newcomers. There are 4 or 5 such groups, and they have been a couple of months into this. Each group have around 8-10 people. And what they do is, after 2-3 months, they give them an opportunity. We do take a Siksha. There is a Siksha ceremony where each of us can take some vows, because when we take vows, it helps them to stay connected with Bhakti. So we can chant 1 round of mantra or 2 round of mantra, whatever you feel like. So they all come together and take vows. So they offered this to one of the group, and 2 people signed up saying that, yeah, we are ready. The others did not, but at least 2 people signed up. They were happy about it. It was, I think, last week, sometime Monday, Tuesday. Then on Thursday, we had a sadhana on program in Bhakti Community, where Krishna arranged, as always, another newcomer asking this devotee, asking this question: does it make a difference if you make a commitment for anything? How does it help? Because I'm anyway doing my practice. How does a commitment make a difference? And Vaisesika Prabhuji very nicely answered the question that how, if you make a commitment, then the entire world's energy starts helping you, they start helping you in making progress, that so others know about it, so they also encourage, they also check in with you, etc. And as part of that, there are a lot, of course, I'm doing a disservice to what the explanation was, but there are a lot of elaboration and example which went with it. And it was really inspiring to us also, what to say of the newcomers. And after that session, the next day when that Bhakta Sangha group met, all of them said that we all want to take, actually commit to chant rounds and read books, etc. So they could see that how it's actually transforming each person in making faster progress in their bhakti life. They couldn't. They were quite pleasantly surprised that all 10 of them actually took vows of chanting. And given how, and they're also noticing that those who are part of Bhakti Community in their Bhakta Sangha program, those who are part of Bhakti Community are making rapid progress in their Bhakti life than those who are not. So given all that, they said, no, we want to have to come on board Bhakti Community and integrate as part of our normal outreach process. And the same feeling I'm getting from ISKCON Alachua as well. They were also pretty impressed. So yeah, it is making real difference, and people are getting inspired. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
It's scientific. You have double-blind studies to prove. Thank you very much for all you're doing. And the more we hear about this and the more we can direct our energies towards combining the outreach we're doing, book distribution, with connecting with Bhakti community and growing in the Sangha, the more successful this program will be. It's a revolutionary program that will go all over North America and all over the world, because this kind of infrastructure and organization is something that people are looking for. And because it's working, it's going to be the next big thing, I guarantee you. So make it work here as much as possible, for the reason that we can expand it to as many other places in the world and bring ISKCON 3 times higher in the way that we affect people in the world. Does that sound like an okay plan? Yes. Sukeshri said yes. Thumbs up. Shraddha Devi Dati. Niharika's clapping. Avantika, yes. Thumbs up all over the place. Thank you very much, Jai Madhava Prabhu, for your tireless service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And for Pavani Bhakti and your whole team, all the young people who are doing all the hard, heavy lifting behind the scenes, getting the programs going. Thank you very much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sharir advidya jal jodendriya tahikal jibe bele bishaya shogore tarma dedi bayati loba moisu dhurmati take jeta katita shangshare Krishna bodadoyamoy koribare jihojai swaprasad anadilobai shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Preme Dako Śrī Caitanya Nitai Preme Dako Śrī Caitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Salpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishvaso Navijayate Prasade Sarvadhukanam Hanirastu Pujayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Buddhi Pariyavajishtate Tvayo papukta sragganda vasulankara chartitaha uchishta bojino dasas tavamayam jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad ki jai. Can everyone please unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.